All right, let's just jump right in. Have you ever stopped to think what an ancient epic story would look like if it happened, today? I'm talking group chats, urgent DMs, major historical figures having their main character moment. Well, that's exactly what we're digging into. This hilarious and actually pretty insightful take on the story of Queen Esther. But what if she had an iPhone? And this right here, this quote just nails the whole vibe from the get-go. You've got these huge ancient stakes. I mean, winning a royal pageant, saving an entire nation, but it's delivered with this super self-aware, kind of sarcastic tone you'd see in a social media caption. It totally flips the script on how you see the story.
So yeah, that's the big question we're asking. And look, this isn't just about sprinkling some modern slang onto an old story for a cheap laugh. It's really about exploring how this kind of reframing makes these huge, monumental figures feel, well, relatable. It makes their larger-than-life problems feel almost understandable to us, here in the digital age.
Okay, so let's set the stage. The story kicks off with a young woman named Esther, who, get this, wins a kingdom-wide beauty pageant and becomes the new queen. I know, it sounds like a total fairy tale, right? But behind all the palace glamour, a really serious problem is starting to brew for her people. And, every great story needs a great villain. So let's introduce the antagonist of this story, a guy whose ego is, let's just say it's a major problem. So here he is, Haman, the king's grand vizier. I mean, that sounds super official, right? He's basically the second most powerful guy in the entire empire. He's got the power, he's got the influence, and he has a massive ego problem. And in today's language, that makes him something else entirely. Yup, the ultimate red flag. And just in case you're not up on the lingo, a red flag is that giant flashing warning sign that tells you a person is probably toxic or just bad news. And Haman? Oh, he's a walking, talking parade of red flags. Why? Because when just one person, Esther's uncle Mordecai, refuses to bow down to him, Haman's ego gets so bruised that he decides to plot the destruction of Mordecai's entire people. I mean, talk about a toxic overreaction. So, yeah, when your first thought is genocide because one guy didn't bow to you, that is pretty much the dictionary definition of a red flag. Okay, so this terrible plot is in motion. How does Esther even find out about it? Well, it's not through some fancy royal scroll or secret messenger in the night. Nope. It happens in a way we'd all recognize. A frantic message sliding right into her DMs. This is her call to adventure, 21st century style. I mean, can you even imagine getting this text? Mordecai just lays it all out. It's urgent, it's terrifying, and it basically puts the weight of an entire nation's survival right on Esther's shoulders. And Esther's response is just so real, right? She's like, go to the king uninvited? She points out that doing that is literally a capital offense. Her phrasing it as, it's giving high stakes, just perfectly captures the very real life or death danger she's in. It's not just scary, it could literally get her executed. But see, this is the moment where a hero is truly made. Despite that incredible risk, Esther makes a choice. She accepts the mission, knowing full well what it could cost her. This is her point of no return. And this is where she commits, 100%. Her famous line, "If I perish, I perish," basically becomes her whole mantra. And in today's slang, she's officially entering her "if I perish" era, a whole period of her life defined by just this intense courage and a willingness to risk it all for her people. And this whole idea of an era is just so perfect here, isn't it? You know how we all talk about being in our villain era or our healing era? It's how we frame these distinct chapters of our lives. Well, for Esther, this chapter is all about pure, unfiltered bravery. And her plan, it's honestly brilliant. This isn't just a desperate plea, it's a real strategy. Step 1, get the king and the villain in the same room for a banquet. Okay. Step 2, build the suspense and make them feel special by inviting them to a second banquet. And then finally, step 3, spring the trap, expose Haman's evil plot, and save everybody. It's seriously a masterclass in political chess. So she has this incredibly risky, super clever, multi-step plan. But the big question is, did it actually work? Let's get to the climax of the story and check out the ultimate plot twist. Okay, just look at this slide. This shows the incredible plot twist in all its glory. It's a complete 180-degree reversal of fortune. Look at the difference between what Haman planned and what actually happened. Every single one of his evil plans backfires in the most spectacular way. He wanted to destroy his enemy, but he ends up getting defeated by the very trap he built for someone else. You can't get more poetic justice than that. Okay, so this is an awesome story, right? But looking at it through this modern lens brings up a bigger question. So what? Why does this even matter? Why is retelling ancient stories with iPhones and slang more than just a funny gimmick?
Well, it turns out the takeaways are actually pretty powerful. For one, it makes these huge historical or religious figures feel like actual people with anxieties we can relate to. It uses humor as this amazing teaching tool, which makes these really complex stories stick in your brain. It also just shows the power of our modern storytelling language to breathe new life into old texts. And maybe most importantly, it connects these timeless themes, courage, identity, fighting injustice, to a whole new generation in a language they just get instinctively.
And that really just leaves us with one final thought to chew on. If this whole approach works so well for Queen Esther, what other ancient story totally deserves this treatment? I mean, can you imagine Joan of Arc live tweeting her battles, or Odysseus posting his entire journey on Instagram? It's a fun thing to think about, but it also really shows just how universal and powerful these incredible stories truly are. Thanks so much for joining me.